So, tell me something terrible. You want to rock, paper, scissors?
Sure, we can rock, paper, scissors. You going to read this to me?
No, I haven't
if you
had
win
that.
the rock, paper, scissors?
I've only had one glass of wine, but I just slurred the shit out of the word paper. So let's start with me. No, we're not actually rock, paper, scissors.
Oh.
Just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Scott.
And I had my hopes and dreams dashed when I was told that we're not actually going to rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, you are.
And you're listening to tell me something terrible.
That too. It's because I said rock. I don't know what I said, but it threw me off personally. That's why you can't listen to yourself talk while you're talking.
Mm-mm.
People, if podcasters actually keep their earbuds in and can hear themselves the whole time, good on them, because it is.
A lot of them do, yeah.
Yeah, but can they hear themselves or just the other
idea.
person? Anyway,
it doesn't matter.
I'm not tech
If I
savvy
run
enough.
into another podcaster, I'll ask them.
A legit one?
Yes.
Okay.
When we get the VIP tickets to a wine and crime show,
Okay.
that'll be the first question we ask Amanda. Hey.
No, there's no way they hear themselves when they're talking.
No. They have probably like real nice sound equipment and stuff.
I can make it so I can hear myself, but then I don't know if I'm like anyway, no, I don't care.
It literally doesn't matter.
Nobody cares. You said this topic's not satanic panic and it's not depressing and you don't have a runny nose.
Yes.
These are all things going in our favor.
Yes.
Okay.
So we were supposed to do this one last week, but between like the rapid weather changings that seem to be happening in this state over and over and over again.
Well, that...
And like going down into the basement and deep cleaning the house and like...
Anyway, and you had Halloween and you were sick and it was just not a good weekend to try to cram it in and be all
I had
disgustingly
a constant
sniffy.
nasal drip. It was literally like water gushing from my nose.
That's disgusting.
Like a little child. I could lick it off my top lip.
That's disgusting. And if it was an actual like November in Michigan, you would have had it frozen to your face.
Mm-hmm. And he kisses me. Ew.
Not if there's shit frozen to your face or if you're a faucet nose. Anyway, and we're going to go back. These started off twice a week.
Yeah, they did.
And then they went to once a week.
Yeah, they did.
And now they're going to every other week-ish.
Yeah, they are.
So that's a testament to our schedules, which is good because you own your own business. And if you're busy, that's a good thing for us.
Yes.
Because this is going to shock you guys.
If we hit that recession in mid-23 like they think we're going to, maybe we'll bump it back up to twice a week.
Maybe. This is going to shock you guys. This isn't a job for us. Like, we don't get actively paid. What? I mean, we have patrons that cover our operation costs, and we thank each and every one of you so much.
Hashtag shameless plugging.
Yes. You guys are the real MVPs. Because it's dumb that it costs money to produce a podcast, but it does. Like, if you want to have a legitimate... Like, that's why we sound like a legitimate podcast, even though we aren't a legitimate podcast. Your mic's also straight up in the air, lady.
It's nice and erect.
Point it towards you, just a smidge.
Okay. But now it's going
Anyway, that's fine. It can get droopy.
Droop.
But no, this isn't like our full-time jobs. So we have to like work it around our actual full-time jobs.
Yeah.
So.
I'm getting busy.
That and 2 of our patrons are getting married.
Yes.
In like 36 hours.
Yep.
So we're heading to North Carolina
again
tomorrow. Again. Yes. You guys, yeah, these jerks, could they have not had a wedding up here?
Yeah.
You know, making everybody drive to their home
Everybody?
now. Not everybody.
Well, the other option was either here or New York.
That's fine. I haven't been to New York. Like, I've never been to New York City.
It's not New York City. It's upstate New York.
That's fine. I've only ever been to Appalachian, New York, where my great uncle lived. So I feel like I've been to New York, but A, that was like 15 years ago, and B, I've actually never experienced New York.
The worst thing is, was it 15 years ago?
Mm-mm. It was 20 years ago.
Yeah. I was like, we knew each other 15 years ago, and I don't ever remember you leaving for France.
France?
New York.
I do have family in France. Funny story. The last time I was in New York, it was with my family that lives in France for a family reunion.
I just Scottish psychic that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good job. Anyway, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
So what's your not satanic story about?
Lake Michigan Triangle.
Also, just to slightly revert back on the shameless plugging, the last Patreon episode I did was one of my favorite topics I've researched so far. Do you remember? It was about a musician.
Yes.
Anyway, we're not going to spoil it in case you have that urge. You don't have to go have that urge.
I liked the baseball one too.
The base, yeah,
That was
surprisingly,
good.
And I did get I nerded out a little on the baseball, but it's just an all around. It's a made for movie story.
And it's me guessing for the first 20 minutes if I had heard the story or not. Then he's like, I'm gonna get to it. You're gonna know. And then it happened, and I was like,
spoiler
holy shit.
alert! That's every Patreon episode. She's like, I've listened to 750 episodes. That's not an exaggeration of podcasts on true crime. I would say that's a low end.
Yes.
I'm gonna know anything you talk about, and I'm like, I'm gonna do sports. Screw you, lady.
Shit.
And random. That's why I don't go true crime typically.
Yeah, because there's a big chance.
I like biographies. I feel like it cultures us a little bit.
Yeah, it's good, and then you have to make me learn about sports.
Have you seen that TikTok trend with like?
No.
It's like the top 100 movies ever on IMDb.
Sure.
Like it cycles through them, and you have to put them in a list of 5. So you get like the first one. Anyway, I saw someone doing it today, and like the first 5 movies that pop up, he's like, "I've never seen these. I'm so uncultured." And I was like, watching it, like, I've never seen them either. And then the last one came up. He's like, whatever this one is, if I've seen it, it's number 1, and it was Lion King. And he's like, "Yep, number 1 movie of all time."
100%.
Yep. And I related so hard to that.
My sister and I, we watched
because when it cycles through them, you're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen almost all those movies." Then it stops, and you're like, I've never seen Singing in the Rain. Like, and it's every movie was like from the 1960s and shit that he's like, I've never seen.
Yeah. So.
Anyway.
Yep. Ready to get started? A little rusty.
Do I have any other TikToks I want to mention?
Do you want to ramble on any further?
Yes.
Let's tell the people about the Lake Michigan Triangle.
Oh, can I say one thing real quick?
I know you know a little bit about it.
I do know. Okay. Sidestep. Real quickly.
Quick.
If you have... So we had one person that doesn't really listen to the podcast, but is a friend of ours, mention that they have YouTube Premium and they listen to all their podcasts on there because there's no commercials. So we started uploading.
That bitch doesn't listen?
No. We're not her flavor.
We're fighting.
You can tell her that too. She listened to one.
Aw, thanks.
And we talked about Vizzies too much, she said. I was like, we don't even drink those anymore. Try listening again. But
it gets better. It just took a while.
Yeah. But so we've started releasing from episode 1. Obviously, we have 100 and whatever, 113 this one. We have a shit ton of episodes, but we're going to be releasing 2 a week on YouTube, audio only. We started with episode 1 and 2 this week. Episode 2 comes out. Well, yeah, today's Thursday, on Friday. Anyway, they're on YouTube, the full videos. It's just audio only. So if you have YouTube
for now,
Premium,
eventually we'll get to the ones where there's actual audio, like visual too, that you'll upload.
Maybe.
We'll
see.
Okay.
You also... I have to edit them a little because you wear crop tops and stretch a lot, and like I don't want to get us like banned off of
any platform. I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I am wearing a tank top today, folks.
Yeah, you and YouTube, like there's gonna be like fuzzy screen if I don't edit them. Anyway, just bear that in mind. Wardrobe choices going forward.
Well, okay.
Or maybe our views would skyrocket. We got a real chance here.
50-50. So I'm going to start this episode the same way every source I read or watched started their hacky bits.
Oh, is it a flight on Christmas, I want to say?
No, I don't know what day it is. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go over a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
So.
The only reason I know anything about this is because it was on Expedition Unknown.
Yes.
Was it Expedition Unknown?
Yes. I didn't watch the episode on it, but it was that I found a source that...
Yeah, referenced it or something?
Didn't reference it. It had like links and shit to it. I think they were like affiliated with it.
Okay. But I have seen that on this.
Yes. So, you've heard of the Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda. You have heard of the Bermuda Triangle.
Bermuda.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Yep.
But have you heard
That's where Fester's from.
It is where Fester's from. But did you know the Great Lakes has its very own triangle? Mm-hmm. Well, now you do.
Tell me more.
So,
is it between Green Bay, Chicago, and like Muskegon?
We're going to get to it. I'm going to tell you right now. We're going to add some fluff. Lake Michigan is the 4th largest great freshwater lake in the world, stretching 22,400 square miles between the west coast of Michigan and the east coast of Wisconsin.
I forget that like half our listeners aren't from Michigan.
Yeah.
So like they don't like the Great Lakes to us is like duh.
Yeah.
But that's also people that live in like California, like, yeah, ocean shit. And I'm like, whatever, I don't know shit about the ocean.
That's true.
Hashtag freshwater for life.
Hashtag no salt life.
Yeah.
That's why we have the like no salt like
Why are you
stickers.
so salty? Just kidding.
I've taken the salt that should be in Lake Michigan, and it is now part of me. So I think the thing that I didn't realize just how big it is the fourth largest in the world. Not like the fourth largest of the Great Lakes. It's like the fourth largest freshwater lake in the world.
Is it the largest of the Great Lakes?
I don't know because I think Lake Superior is the largest because it's so deep. But it might be the largest area.
I was going to say, how do they determine largest?
I think
is it volume of water? Because Superior, I think, would win.
Yeah.
But if it's, I think it's just surface area.
I think it's surface area.
Because otherwise,
Lake Superior's fucking horrifying.
Yeah, but I also feel like.
But most of the wrecks, most of the crashes, I think, happen in Lake Michigan. Oh no, I think Lake Michigan only has 5% of it.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. They're big, scary lakes.
They're not scary. They're just big lakes.
No, they're scary.
They're mini oceans.
Exactly. They're scary.
There's no sharks.
No, there's sturgeon.
Or whales. You're fine.
So I think, is there pike in the Great Lakes or is that just our inner lakes?
Yeah.
Fuck that. Pikes are horrifying.
I act like I'm some seaworthy fisherman.
Anyway.
I've been fishing since I was 8 and I caught bluegill.
Bluegill are so good though. Doesn't matter. Catfish is really good too.
Fun fact, I've never eaten fresh caught fish. I didn't grow up a fisherman. My dad didn't fish or hunt. Why are you so shocked?
Well, you didn't eat the fish that you guys caught?
No.
You threw it back?
I was 8. I don't think at age 8 I had eaten fish at that point in my life.
I was filleting fish and dissecting their eyeballs at 8.
Fish has never been served in any form besides a stick in my parents' household. Ever.
Jeez, I wonder why you just love to cook.
Like my mom has never prepared fish in her life. Ever.
That just blows my mind.
That a dairy farmer daughter has never prepared non-red meat.
I don't know. Remember that one time we had fish fry and we had to make it gluten-free and like everybody was in the kitchen just watching us cook like it was the most amazing thing they'd ever seen?
Anyway, no, I have never eaten freshly caught fish.
Oh, well, we're going to have to fix that.
I was offered rabbit stew once with rabbits that were shot in my front yard by my uncles. You almost spit water out of your mouth. But I was like around...
Because that's normal.
I was around the age of 8, and I was traumatized as shit. Yeah. You know the Daves.
Yeah.
These are both dudes, 6'2" plus.
They look like Santa Claus.
My Uncle Dave is like 6'2". The other Dave is like 6'4" at least. He's a monster of a man. Biggest hands I've ever seen of a guy that golfs. He golfs, and it looks like every club's a putter because he's a fucking giant. So these two guys I'm a child. Like, I'm a literal fucking child. They're going around my house.
A small child, by the way, because this man is still only 5'8" as a grown-ass adult.
Yeah, no, I'm a wee human. So they're going around my front yard and in my backyard as well, but I didn't watch that because I was traumatized in the front yard. And they're walking along the edge of
This is only an acre, too, guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of on like a paved road. It's not like it's the boonies.
Definitely not legal. They were within 50 yards of my house, not 500.
And it's supposed to be 400. I think it's 400.
Whatever. They would walk around and walk through the brush piles, and as rabbits ran out, they shot them. Yeah. Are you okay over there? You're trying to drink water.
I'm done drinking.
And then we had a stump in our front yard where they would nail them and skin them.
Holy shit! That escalated quickly.
Yeah, right in front of me, like just in our yard. This is one of the few memories I have like pre-10 in my life. And it like fucked me up a little bit where I'm like...
And then you married me.
Yeah, but like I'd been fishing like twice. I've never been hunting. My dad is not either. He worked and he golfed and he like played sports. He was not an outdoorsman. And then like, yeah, these guys are just stomping around, shooting rabbits as they run out, and then essentially, like in my eyes, just murdering them on a stump in my front yard.
Not realizing that they're already dead.
No.
Yeah, they got the head shot in.
The shots are pretty quick, like pretty uneventful, but watching them, like nail them to a stump and then like cut the flesh away.
And then go to church on Sunday where they talk about torturing Jesus to death.
It clearly stuck with me. And nowadays, if someone offered me rabbit, fuck, I would eat it. I'm not like scarred like that way, but it like still like... I've never...
And rabbit is a very dark purpley red meat.
Yeah.
It's a very dark meat.
But anyway, I have no problem eating meat. I'm not like, but I've never.
I think that would do it in for our daughter. She'd be done eating all meat if she fucking saw that.
There's a 80% chance she's a vegetarian by the time she's a teenager.
Yes.
She essentially is now, depending on the day.
Yeah.
Depending if she eats chicken nuggets or a cheese pizza for dinner, she's essentially a vegetarian. Anyway, we are 20 minutes in and you haven't talked about the
Jesus
Bermuda
Christ.
Triangle yet.
Nope, it's not the Bermuda Triangle. It's the Great Lakes Triangle.
Sorry, the Great Lakes Triangle.
So Michigan, Lake Michigan is the fourth largest.
4 years later.
It is nestled in the lower half of Lake Michigan is the Lake Michigan Triangle, whose points start in Ludington, Michigan, which is about
out my
half.
sister.
Yep, it's halfway up the definitely does not listen.
She may.
She prays for us weekly, nightly at this
She
point.
could do both. She follows us on Facebook.
That sucks. And then it starts in Ludington, which is halfway up the state, and then the lower half of the state.
If you hold out your hand, it's where your first pinky knuckle, your pinky meets your hand.
Yep. Yeah, that's about right.
Thanks. I live here too.
Yeah. And then it goes down to Benton Harbor, which is almost to like the wrist. That's almost to Indiana.
Okay.
If you're keeping track at home. And then it shoots up and back, like up north again to Manitowoc. Is it Manitowoc? Manitowoc? Wisconsin.
Fuck if I know. I don't know. I only know
it's Dowagiac here.
I only know where Green Bay's at.
Okay. It's about that ish area.
It?
Yeah. It's the same. I actually don't know where Green Bay is at. It literally follows the path.
Manitowoc?
Manitowoc. Manitowoc. It's Manitowoc.
There's no.
Now that I said it.
How the hell do you spell Manitowoc? I got Mont. M-O-N-T.
Manitowoc.
You keep saying
Manitowoc?
it. What comes after the M-O-N-T?
M-A-N.
M-A-N?
No, erase the whole thing. It starts M-A-N.
Okay, great.
I-T.
Man
O-W.
O-W?
O-C.
O-C. I got it.
Manitowoc.
I've locked it in. Okay, Manitowoc. That's just north of Sheboygan. Well north of Milwaukee. I'm trying. I don't know where the fuck Green Bay is. I thought Green Bay was
further south than that.
Where the fuck is Green Bay, Wisconsin?
It's up north, isn't it? Up.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's the same path.
Directions.
It's the same path that the SS Beaver or whatever that goes across the it's the Badger. The SS Badger that goes from Ludington to Wisconsin is the same. They travels along that northern border.
Green Bay is inland.
What?
But okay, you know how Lake Michigan it curves up and then has like a mullet coming down the backside, like a ponytail?
Yeah.
That's where Green Bay is.
Oh, it's where like the little pinky sticks off the...
See the tip of the ponytail?
Yeah.
That's where Green Bay is. So it's kind of northwest of whatever the fuck you call it, Manitowoc. Which is just north of Sheboygan. That's your geography lesson for the day, boys and girls.
Christ.
Now I know where Green Bay's
wild.
at. I know where Green Bay's at.
Yep.
I feel so cultured. Fuck the cheeseheads.
So the first recorded disappearance occurred in the late 17th century. A French ship, La Griffin.
We're going way back.
Yeah. A French ship, La Griffin, was one of the largest of the time, was
That's
searching...
French for the Griffin.
It is. So it was searching for trade routes through the lakes and was nearly at the end of her voyage as she entered the Michigan Triangle and never left.
Dun, 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 dun.
I even wrote that.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
So trying to get your word count in for this essay?
Yes. So the cause of her disappearance has never been established. No wreckage or any other sign of the ship has ever been found. And all was quiet until the serial killer of a lake struck again. 200 years later, it's quite the cool down period.
Yep.
A steamship named Lady Elgin was sailing through Benton Harbor in September 1860 when she collided with a smaller boat. It was a hit and run, really, because the smaller boat made its way to relative safety to the harbor, while Lady Elgin sank beneath the lake, taking 300 people with her. This was a large steamship. Like with the big rudders and everything.
Like not a residential, but like a passenger ship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Lady Elgin?
Yep, Lady Elgin. And it was one of those big like wooden steam like
the only
wheels,
Elgin I know is a dude, so that name confused me.
Well, you know.
You know Elgin Baylor. You're a big Laker fan. I can see it.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Elgin Baylor played for the Lakers. Sorry.
And then Lady Elgin sunk in a lake.
Yep.
No, that's funny.
Anyway.
So
there's like two other people that both know who Elgin Baylor is and listen to this podcast. It's a very niche market we have here.
Yes. So then strange weather incidents started after these horrible shipwrecks.
Okay.
In 1883, a crew on a wooden tugboat named Mary McClance.
Sorry. Tugboats. They have a bit of a history around here.
Scott's a big fan of tugboats.
I don't know about a big fan.
So it was called Mary McClance. Mm-hmm. She was sailing through the triangle during a clear and cloudless afternoon, and the crew claimed that blocks of ice started falling from the sky for 30 minutes.
What?
Falling fast enough that it caused dents in the tugboat's wooden surface. Yep. And so it showed up. The crew saved a hunk of the sky ice in an ice box so that they had evidence when they told the story once they made it back to the harbor in Chicago.
Yeah.
So like they had, these are the giant hunks of ice.
Looked into by any like...
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Shallow dives around here.
No, you're fine. I just am like wondering if there's like a plausible explanation for it.
Yeah. They said it was described as ice...
Hail the
blocks.
size of like blocks.
Yeah, and it left dents in the surface. So they showed up with these like this small block of ice and like these just dents everywhere in their boats.
Huh. Okay. I wanted to be a meteorologist for like 7 minutes in 5th grade, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, I told Lily that too. And
I want to be a meteorologist
yes,
when I was...
She was like, because we were talking about the weather, because she is your daughter, and her favorite weather is fog.
Fog's cool.
Yeah.
It's a little spooky. I love...
She's turning spooky.
Morning fog on a golf course might be my like all-time favorite weather. When it's like 64 degrees on a day that's going to get to be like 80. No? Okay. Sorry.
It's the 64 degrees and the wet grass. It just takes me back to band camp and I just want to run screaming.
And there's like you get like the dew on the grass, like the little droplets that reflect the early morning sunlight, and then the fog.
Yeah, you can only stand...
Oh my God.
Wet, sweaty toes for so long.
And in golf, you wear waterproof shoes because you're not an unprepared teenager like you were in band camp.
Or you have to wear tennis shoes
that should be
to
waterproof.
march in.
That should be waterproof.
No, no, because more often than not, those days get up to 115 degrees.
Okay, pump your band camp brakes.
Oh my God, band camp was awful.
Oh my God.
Don't let your kids join band.
Oh my God, it was 18 years ago or whatever you were in band camp for the first time.
So in May of 1891, the Thomas Hume, a reinforced schooner hauling...
Wait, this is a dude boat?
Yeah, the Thomas Hume.
Whoa.
Yep. So this
Did it
is
have a lady captain? I thought they were all lady boats with dude captains.
Flipping the narrative.
Yep, gender bend the boat name game.
Yep. So Thomas Hume was a reinforced schooner hauling lumber to Chicago. It disappeared. The lumber had already been offloaded. And
I hate when I lose my schooner.
So the lumber had already been offloaded, and they were headed back to Muskegon with the 7 crew members. The crew and the schooner, along with its sister ship, the Rouse Simmons, had made this trip several times. Mm-hmm. There was a storm headed in, so the Rouse Simmons turned around to over harbor in Chicago before trying again when the storm passed.
It reroused?
Yes, it reroused itself. Mm-hmm. Decided that looks sketch, not going.
Hard no.
So, the Thomas Hume decided to risk it for the biscuit. Typical thing. It is a mail boat. So,
stubborn.
Yes. So despite a $300 reward for any information about the wreckage, it was not found until 2006 at the bottom of the lake in near perfect condition.
Huh.
Yep.
Okay.
So they couldn't figure out what caused the accident.
Okay.
Or the reason for it to sink.
Yep.
So 21 years later, in November 1912, the Triangle finally came for the Rouse Simmons. This time the ship was hauling Christmas trees. After unloading.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird thing to have to haul, but...
Yeah, well, from tree farms, people need their Christmas trees.
Yeah, but okay. Just feel like buy local.
They tried to, but we already destroyed all the forests in Michigan, so they had to get them from Wisconsin instead.
This is pre-artificial, so you need enough to go around, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about those fires.
Assume...
there weren't at this point there probably wasn't a lot of trees left in Michigan. You got that yawn out?
Yeah. I was trying to say, I assume this is a massive assumption. I kind of assume the western side of Wisconsin is less densely populated than the eastern portion of Michigan. I don't know that for sure, but Milwaukee's like on that west coast of Wisconsin.
Well, and Green Bay is a big city.
Yeah, but that's slightly. But either way, like I feel like those are less big cities than what you have going along the eastern coastline of Michigan, where you have like the Muskegans and the what?
Chicago's on that side of Michigan.
That's in the south. That's like
true.
Way down south. Anyway, I just feel like that's the only thing I can make sense of is like if they needed to supply a more densely populated area.
No, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a pointless theory. I was filling your
maybe
yawn.
Wisconsin grows better trees.
Maybe they just smell like cheese.
Ew,
cheese trees. Ew. Christmas cheese.
Oh no.
Oh, Christmas cheese. Oh.
No. So anyway, they're taking the Christmas cheese over to Michigan.
I could go for some Christmas cheese with this wine right now.
So after unloading, the crew of 16 and some rogue lumberjacks that were catching a ride back to Chicago.
Love a rogue lumberjack. That's actually what I went for Halloween.
A few years ago, you had your little beanie. You're like, look, I can be a hipster or a lumberjack.
Yep.
You took the actual axe to work.
I took a double-sided axe to work, yes.
A real one. He wasn't pussyfooting around with
Well, it does have some packing tape on it. It's got one swing left in it before it gives up the ghost.
Yes.
We haven't had to use it yet. It's in case of a fire. That's hanging up in our bedroom.
Yeah, it's our first line of defense.
Yep. No, last line of defense. The bat is the first line of defense. That bat's heavy as shit.
Oh, that's an actual Louisville slugger, too.
Yeah, that's like, I could fuck someone up with that bat more than if it like I'd be like, here, burglar, take the axe. I'm gonna hit you with the bat.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember when I didn't realize it was you? You had left, and like 5 minutes later, you came back, and it was when we were still sleeping in this room, and I fucking came down the stairs like with the bat, like I was gonna like hit somebody.
We have 4 of them on the wall now. You can choose your weapon.
Great.
Also, we have 14 putters over there now because someone bought 4 more at the thrift store.
Scott,
I showed you them. One of them, remember I said...
Oh, the ones downstairs? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I brought them upstairs. One of them's worth $80. Anybody in the market for a ping putter hex pattern front, let me know.
Oh my God, stop.
Hey, we're a for-profit
Look, we are going off the rails.
I don't got to work tomorrow. This is very liberating. Just wander about.
So anyway... There's a bunch of rogue lumbermen and a bunch of rogue lumbermen and
is that what lumber people? Is that
the more politically correct term? Yes.
Yeah.
So there were some lumber people and some sail people.
Seamen.
Sea people. They were headed back to Chicago, and they had to go through the Michigan Triangle to get there.
Okay.
So
at this point, it's probably like known amongst like sailors and such, right?
I would imagine
boat captains.
So the Rouse Simmons was spotted by a tugboat sailing like toward them. They were spotted in clear weather conditions, but her distress flag was flying.
All right.
By the time that the tugboat made it to where they thought that the Rouse Simmons was supposed to be, she was gone.
Huh.
There was no sign of wreckage. And a year later, Christmas trees started washing up on the shore, and the captain's wallet was fished out of the lake. So there had to have been some still on the boat. A year later.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, that's a strange timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were finding...
Like, it seems like it would wash up like
pine trees on
a week later.
Yeah, no. That's the weird part. Like, shit is weird. Nothing makes sense.
This is like Wonder Woman shit. Like, where people like sail or fly into the fog and then they're in like a different world.
That's people think that it's a portal. It's crazy. So it was recently found under 165 feet of water with no sign that it could have sunk the ship. So it was also in perfect condition.
Okay.
They have no clue. So in October 1921, the Rosabelle was loaded with supplies and 11 members of Michigan's cult, House of David.
Excellent.
Did you know we have a cult?
I mean, it's safe to assume everyone's got a cult at this point.
Cultmas is coming, so be on the lookout.
Oh, good. Are we doing that again this year?
Yeah.
Terrific.
It was fun. So a few days after...
You haven't run out of cults? Just kidding.
No, absolutely not. We haven't even touched Jonestown.
Are we going to touch Jonestown?
I have no idea. A lot.
We've gone down to 2 a month. It would take us a year to cover Jonestown.
Yep, let's do it.
No.
So a few days after setting sail, the Rosabelle was found 42 miles from where it was last seen.
You're saying Rosabelle?
Rosabelle.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought you said Roosevelt the first time. Rosabelle.
Rosabelle.
Okay, it's kind of a pretty name.
Yeah.
For like a dog.
Yeah.
I wouldn't name
Next
I
dog.
wouldn't name a kid Rosabelle.
Our child's name is Annabelle.
Her middle name.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Anyway, yep. 4 letters are the same. So she was found 42 miles from when it was last seen, capsized in the water with a hole in her hull that appeared to have been from a collision with another boat, but there was no records of other ships with collision damage.
Okay.
And there was no sign of the 11 passengers. And just to add to the creepy, the Rosabelle had been rebuilt after it had experienced a similar wreck in the 19th century. Yeah. So it's very like parallel universe kind of thing.
Vibes.
Yep.
Okay.
And then there were other disappearances than just boats with their people.
Planes.
This
is the one I know about.
I'm not getting to the plane yet.
Okay.
In 1937, it was just a people that
A people?
disappeared. Just a people. Captain George Donner.
I don't think that's how you say that,
Yes.
but let's keep going.
Yes, it is.
What was his name?
Captain George Donner.
Okay. Donner Party.
Yeah. So he was sailing the O.M. McFarland across Lake Michigan to Port Washington, Wisconsin. So after sailing into the night, the captain decided to rest for a few hours and told his crew to wake him up when they were close to port.
Okay.
A few hours later, the crew knocked on the cabin's door, but no one answered. They attempted to open the door. It was locked. They looked around the boat for any sign of Captain Donner. Couldn't find any. When he couldn't be found, the crew broke the door to the cabin down, and inside, there was no Captain Donner.
Okay.
No one knows what happened. He just
made a jump for it.
disappeared.
Potentially. Wild speculation.
Yes. And also, no one allegedly knows what happened.
It's true. Mutiny.
There's a whole crew.
Mutiny.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, he still disappeared.
Okay.
Quote unquote.
No, he definitely disappeared.
No, he disappeared.
He definitely was there, and then he wasn't there. And that's
The
all we know.
in-between is the fuzzy part.
Yeah. A lot of gray area.
Yeah.
There.
So, in the evening of June 23rd, 1950, the Northwest Orient Flight 2501 was flying from New York to Seattle with a layover in Minneapolis. They had a crew of 3 and a passenger count of 55.
Okay.
So this is the one that you know about. It was loaded with 2,500 gallons of fuel, and it was coming barely under the maximum takeoff weight, like 57 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like at the tippity
They're like
top.
one child away from not being able to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with all that information, it was being flown by 2 very capable pilots, one of which had already made this exact trip 14 times before. And this is also a retired military aircraft.
Okay.
So it's a pretty...
Well built.
Yes. Okay. And then 2 experienced pilots. So as the craft flew over Ohio, it was flying at 4,000 feet and then was asked by air traffic control to drop to 3,500 feet to avoid an eastbound plane that was traveling at 5,000 feet. So they were like, that's too close.
Okay.
Can you drop?
Yep.
This plane was flying that high because it was flying over a brewing storm that was above Lake Michigan.
Gotcha.
So they knew this storm was coming. So as Flight 2501 made its way toward Lake Michigan and the growing storm, the pilot requested to drop to 2,500 feet, but never gave a reason why.
Okay.
They were denied.
Uh-huh.
And the plane flew into the growing lightning storm.
So he wasn't like, I want to fly lower because of the storm. He just...
Yeah, he gave no reason. Okay. No one asked. He just was like, I want to drop down to 2,500 feet, and they were like, no, okay. Which is hella low for a plane.
Okay. I don't know plane heights, but I believe you.
So one article I was reading said that if something were to happen in a storm where you were to ever get flipped upside down, or have a spin, they have 1,000 feet to correct themselves before it is a problem.
Okay.
And they were flying at 2,500 feet. So gotcha. There's no
time
to correct yourself if something were to happen. which is probably why they said no.
Yeah. That's too dangerous.
Yes.
Okay.
So the plane flew into the growing lightning storm, and just before midnight, Milwaukee informed New York that Flight 25001 had never arrived.
Okay.
No one could contact the flight, so the next day it was determined that the flight was lost. On Saturday, the 24th, an oil slick was spotted along with some light debris, and the Coast Guard was sent out to recover anything they could find. Mm-hmm. Over a 4-mile stretch of lake, all that was found was light debris, parts of a fuel tank, cushions, clothing, cabin lining, and body parts.
That's a terrible description.
Yep. Tiny pieces of wreckage kept floating to the surface, the largest piece no bigger than a hand. So it
exploded.
It disintegrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point, the Coast Guard members were just dipping their hands in the water to pull out body parts.
Terrible.
It's just the worst version of bobbing for apples ever.
Yeah. It's more like bobbing for Bob.
So this is actually where those jokes originated from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So recovering a big enough piece of the plane to figure out what happened seemed impossible, and divers going down later only to find 2 feet of mud at the bottom of the lake with only a foot of visibility.
They needed Josh Gates out there diving and
clearly
using his side scan radar to look for engine parts.
Yep. Well, and at that point, there's so much mud. Anything that's big enough could have sunk right into it. So it was the largest commercial accident at the time, and the search for any large wreckage is still ongoing, which
Yep.
from your biggest man crush, Josh Gates.
He's a national treasure. I don't care what you say.
So then eyewitness accounts started pouring in.
Yep.
One naval officer said that he heard a plane fly over his house at about 12:20 a.m.
Yep.
And then
They mentioned this in the expedition note.
the terrific flash over the lake.
Yes.
Yes.
And at some point, Josh Gates is going to go with us to find the secret treasure.
You think?
Yes, buried in New Orleans, because we
Yes.
know where it's at because I discovered it.
Yes, you
and
did.
we just don't have the time or resources to go get it.
No, but we know somebody who might. So by Wednesday, newspapers were reporting witness accounts. One man said that he had heard the plane fly over his gas station and heard its motors quote plunk twice, and then they saw a quote queer flash of light.
What a strange choice of verbiage.
It was the 50s.
Yeah.
So others that were at the station said that the engines didn't sound right as it flew over the tiny stretch of highway.
Clug.
Yeah, which is not something you want going on while you're in the air.
Or a flash of light after that.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
So it had flown over that tiny stretch of highway and then sharply veered back over the lake.
Okay.
And another witness said that there was a flash that looked like the sun went down. And then witnesses claimed that it was no further than 2,000 feet above the ground, which is weird. How are you? You can't,
don't ask me, yo.
You can't tell. But
sometimes we'll see big planes going to go land at Detroit Airport,
right?
When they go over here, and I'm like, if you ask me how high up are they, I'm like, I have no fucking idea.
And they are so huge that there's no way. Yeah, there's no visual marker in the sky that gives you an idea.
Who
the
the fuck
plane
would know?
is giant. Your brain really cannot understand that.
We live a quarter mile from an airport that drops parachuters.
Yep.
And I see them jump out of the plane. You think I know how fucking high they're jumping? No, I got no idea. No idea.
Nor do I ever want to find out.
I just hear their when they pull their parachute, and you look up and go, "Oh, look, there's parachuters." No, I don't know how fucking high they are up in the air.
No, it is though. You do hear all the individual pops too.
Yeah,
yeah.
It makes me feel like I'm dropping in Call of Duty. Pull that chute.
Anyway, 2 hours after the plane was last heard from,
the hardest pivot of the night is to be like, "Oh God, don't let him talk about Call of Duty. Get the fuck out of here."
I broke up with a gamer and married you.
I am the least gamery gamer ever. I have the attention span of an hour and a half maximum.
Yeah.
Which is, you play video games longer than I do.
That's why I don't play video games, because I'd be up until 4 o'clock in the morning going, oops.
Oops.
So 2 hours after the plane was heard from, a police officer that night also claimed to see this red light hovering over the lake for about 10 minutes.
Satan. Sorry, I was tying it back in.
Yes. Clearly. Some people suggest that it was a red sprite, which is a rare type of lightning, but that happens
sounds
above
like a fairy.
Yes. Well, portals.
Are sprites fairies
Yes.
of some sort? Okay.
Yes,
See?
they are.
I know things.
They're tiny fairies.
I'll ask our daughter when she wakes up in the morning what a sprite is. She'll know.
She will.
Yeah.
I might have a fairy, like a thick, like encyclopedic type references to the Fae somewhere.
Yeah, and she's got whatever.
The Spiderwick Chronicles.
Yeah. Don't go walking around a swamp with that kid. She has all sorts of horrible shit that lives
I think there
there.
might be a Nox. Do you think it's a Fuka?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
What language are you speaking? What are they teaching you at public school?
Indoctrinating your child. So she doesn't need the school for that. So some people suggest that it was
I only know Shrek.
But anyway, those lightning phenomenons happen above clouds and not above water, like he said.
Mm-hmm. After this, I want to make pancakes. Just mental note that, like right now.
Like Donkey?
Yes.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
No, when we get done with this at 11 o'clock, I'm writing down. I'm making a note. I make notes sometimes.
Make pancakes.
I fucking want pancakes now.
So,
anyway, proceed.
This is the disappearance that fed the UFO conspiracies surrounding Lake Michigan Triangle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So sightings of unusual and bright lights in the sky above the triangle start as far back as 1913.
Not the Northern Lights.
Not the Northern
They
Lights.
They have to get that far down.
They
though.
can.
Yeah.
We were supposed to see them that one night that there was a big
so that's
electrical
completely
storm.
plausible is the explanation of this.
Yes. It rarely happens, though. It is not a normal thing.
Okay, and this isn't like an everyday thing, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay.
So,
You're like, don't poo-poo my theory.
stop it. It's aliens. I want to believe. So anyway, it goes as far back as 1913, and they continued into 1919 when two huge fireballs streaked across the sky above the triangle and into the lake.
Whoosh.
Thank you.
Then psst.
So the impact could
I do
be...
need to start an ASMR
You
podcast.
do.
Just horrible dad sound effects.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
The ultimate dad joke.
Yep.
So the impact could be felt as far away as Indiana, which... whatever, depending on where it landed, like is either like really impressive or it's stupid.
You seem so nonchalant about Indiana. They're not Indians. What do you call someone from Indiana? Indianians?
Sure.
Okay. You shrugged them off like whatever. Of course they felt it.
They're
Stupid
Hoosiers,
Indiana.
aren't they?
Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
What did you say?
Hoosiers.
Is this like Hosier or whatever that singer guy is?
The singer.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Hoosiers?
No.
Okay. Every time
because I know it's also a sports movie, right?
Every time you give me shit, you're like, you haven't seen this. I'm like, you haven't seen Hoosiers, so
It's a sports movie, and you haven't seen Scream, so
they're both from like the same year, and we should not be.
Well, we clearly had two very different childhoods.
This is true.
So, anyway, it's either impressive that you could feel it in Indiana because, if it's near the northern part of the triangle, it's really big. But if it's like near Benton Harbor, it's literally like a stone's throw away.
Yeah.
So the New York Times reported that it was probably just huge meteors, but locals insist that it was paranormal. Yes.
Which movie do you think came out first, Hoosiers or Scream?
Hoosiers definitely came out first.
Hoosiers came out in 1986.
Yeah.
Scream came out in 1996.
Yes.
Anyway.
So, again, very different childhoods.
Hoosiers came out before I was
I know,
born.
that's the joke.
Thank you.
So,
I was more of a Blue Chip guy.
again.
Blue Chip had Shaq in it.
Again.
Okay.
While he's Googling sports movies, I'll keep telling you about this stupid triangle.
Blue Chips was 1994.
Okay. So the idea that the Lake Michigan Triangle was a hotbed of paranormal activity was solidified when Stephen Kubacki, a 23-year-old college student from Holland, what's up?
I forget. Okay, there's a token white guy in Blue Chips, and it's Nick Nolte. Anyway, I'll show you the trailer for it, and you'll be like, there's no fucking way that's Nick Nolte. But anyway, you're like, I don't know who Nick Nolte is.
Nope.
Anyway.
So, Stephen Kubacki.
Kubaka.
He is a He's a 23-year-old college student from Holland.
Uh-huh.
He was on a solo cross-country skiing trip near Saugatuck, Michigan, when he disappeared in February of 1978.
Okay.
So police located his footprints, which ended at the shores of Lake Michigan the next day. Snowmobilers found his equipment abandoned.
Okay.
And at first, it was assumed that he had fallen through the ice and died of either hypothermia or drowning, despite the fact that the ice was unusually thick that year.
Was he trying to cross Lake Michigan?
So,
okay.
Until
listening.
May of 1979.
Later.
Stephen showed up 15 months later in a Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
What?
He found himself waking up in a grassy field over 700 miles away from where he last remembered standing on the shore of Lake Michigan.
Huh.
Yep.
Was he on drugs? Wait, he didn't wake up in Massachusetts.
He literally woke up in Massachusetts.
What?
He woke up in Massachusetts.
You've said that thrice now.
Yeah.
That's strange.
He still won't talk about it. They think it's amnesia. He
It's
literally
something.
15 months of his life is gone, and then he just like came to in a field.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
That's weird.
Yep. So then in March,
I've never heard of that one.
yeah, I thought it was really interesting.
I don't know how I feel about that, Chewbacca.
So in March of 1994, hundreds of locals along the coast began calling in.
After they watched Blue Chips, which came out that same year.
Full circle.
Starring Nick Nolte and Shaquille O'Neal.
Was it Shaquille O'Neal?
It was Shaq, Penny Hardaway, and some white guy.
All right.
Not Nick Nolte. There's
There's another token white guy?
He's a basketball player.
So
hold on, I can tell you, it's Matt Nover.
So famous. I remember him.
I don't know Matt Nover, but I do know Penny Hardaway and Shaq. Anyway, as you were.
So in March of 1994, hundreds of locals along the coast began calling the police after they watched Blue Chip.
Please.
To report seeing a disc-like objects hovering above them.
Ooh.
Some with flashing lights. So the unidentified objects were reported in a cluster of five or six.
This is 94?
94.
When did E.T. come out?
Also in the 80s.
Did it?
I think so.
Either way.
Or very early 90s.
Let me continue. Just Google random shit tonight.
Just all the movies.
E.T. came out in 82. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, as you were.
I was thinking like maybe 86, but yeah, 82.
We weren't alive.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
So,
have you seen E.T.?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you?
I saw it once.
I've only seen it once as well.
Okay, good. It made such an impression on us.
So, which is a shame because it's a cultural icon.
That doesn't mean it's like it's been 40 years. It doesn't mean it holds up. What?
Ew, it has been 40 years.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Todd's listening to this and he's like, fuck you people.
So, flashing lights, hovering discs.
I'm not saying Todd's
in
our
clusters.
oldest listener, but he's the oldest known listener.
Yes.
So I have to give him shit any chance I can.
So, police,
And
disc-like
I know
objects.
he's standing in an aisle right now going, fuck these kids. Sorry. Proceed with your story.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. You're just going to keep trashing Todd.
I'm not trashing him. I know him, and I know he's sitting there going, fuck these kids, while he's smiling in his suspenders in an aisle.
With his phone held over his head, held by like an opposite hand.
Yeah, on the wrong side.
Yep. So, so hovering discs, flashing lights, police were called.
Yes.
The unidentified objects were
what
reported.
What were the police going to do?
Shoot at it?
Drive out
This
of
is
the
why.
lake?
This is why they've militarized our police force to save us from the aliens.
Call the DNR. At least they have boats.
That's true. So these were being reported in a cluster of 5 or 6 cylindrically shaped crafts. Mm-hmm. And then one witness was a weather radar operator.
It's a half dozen donuts they reported.
So
got the cops there quicker.
Yes. So he told the police that he had never seen anything like it before, not even when he was covering storms over the lake. Another witness described them as a string of floating Christmas lights. And then another one.
They go with the Christmas trees.
Yes. Yes. The Rouse Simmons was getting pulled up from the grave.
It's a tribute. Mm-hmm. Yep.
All those aliens were like, oh no, the Christmas trees.
The wives of the men that went down in that ship hang Christmas lights across the lake every year.
Too soon.
Is it? The wives are all dead. It was like 1871 or some shit. I think it's okay now.
And then another one described seeing a, quote, fireball with red and green lights falling to Earth.
Okay.
Again,
Christmas, yeah. This was in what, March? April?
Yeah.
Whatever? Okay.
Yeah. Somebody got really pissed because their neighbors hadn't taken down their Christmas tree lights.
So they made up this whole thing about it?
Yep.
Yep.
And then there are two underwater archaeologists from Northwestern Michigan College. One a professor and the other is his colleague.
Northwestern Michigan College. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of it, but I'll believe it's true.
I'll allow it. So they discovered what some people speculate is the reason for all the spooky disappearances and aliens and portals and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So in 2007, the pair... Such a difficult word.
Puberty's
Four
tough.
letters.
Puberty's tough on 33-year-old women. The voice cracking.
In 2007, the pair and their team were mapping shipwrecks, as one is wont to do in the Great Lakes.
Yep.
Nearly 50 feet under the water, they discovered 6 boulders in a 40-foot hexagonal formation, similar to Stonehenge, but not like tall and like pillars.
Yeah.
They're in that similar shape.
Uh-huh.
At the bottom of the lake, with
Okay.
a straight line of stones headed away from the formation in opposing directions. So
Okay.
there's like also straight coming
Yep.
off two sides.
I got you.
Not similar to Stonehenge. So one of the mossy covered stones had a carving of a mastodon on it. Even though it was covered in moss, it was mapped out. You can clearly
okay.
see it. Which was extinct
So
about...
this is like pre-Ice Age shit?
Yes.
Okay.
So they were extinct about 10 to 12,000 years ago. Some people don't think that early humans and mastodons existed at the same time on this continent, but there has also been tons of other like proof. Like they've found bones with like marks on them that had to have come from stone tools.
Mastodons feel like one of those animals we could Jurassic Park pretty easily.
100%.
Yeah.
Because you find them like perfectly preserved in Canada and shit.
And like locally, yeah.
Yeah, I think they found one recently.
Yeah.
Like,
Anyway.
just a couple years ago. Really locally.
It's okay.
It literally doesn't matter. I'm, like, really excited about this mastodon.
Like, I want one.
Yeah. Oh, my God. They could size them down and make them tiny little Bella size. Oh, wouldn't they be so precious? I can't wait.
No, we don't need
That's the Jurassic Park
we don't
really
need designer mastodons.
need. Yes, we do.
No, we need apex predators.
Do we? So the exact location of the stones is a closely held secret because of ongoing research and out of respect for the nearby Grand.
I keep my stones
Traverse.
held close too.
Me too. Well, there's also a Native American community very
You wear
close
your
by.
stones around your neck. Mine are attached to me. That's a ball joke.
Is it?
Yes.
Please keep explaining it. So, the Native American community, more specifically, is the... I said this out loud so many times.
Did you practice
I did.
in front of a mirror?
No, I should have. That's the secret.
Okay.
It's more specifically the Anishinaabe tribe. I'm pretty sure I got
I'm not
going to
correct you because I don't know.
So they did allow some people to dive beneath the surface, like this one YouTuber that I'd found who had a discussion with a local Native American and a local expert named Dr. O'Shea, I believe.
Okay.
And they were talking about how like these stones, we see the earth and the stones as like a manifestation of the earth. It's just a reminder of how long we've been here. So they're thinking it's sacred space.
Okay.
So Lake Michigan's shoreline was much further back, 10,500 years ago, and the water moved upward 5,000 years ago. So we know that the Anishinaabe people had established residency in the region, so they believe that it may have been placed there by the tribe for sacred purposes, since the tribe believes that stones are animate objects, that they come from Mother Earth. Reminded, like I literally just said. I should just keep reading.
Yeah, there you go.
But on the other hand, Dr. O'Shea believes that this is a structure known as a drive line, which you can still find one in use today. There's one in Canada.
Okay.
So the concept is herd animals refuse to walk over any type of barrier.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Herd animals?
Herd animals, like buffaloes and cows and donkeys and things like that.
Okay.
George, my parents' donkey, because again, we live in the country, was a big dick. And he refused to walk over that stone trench that my parents had for the artesian well. He refused to walk over it.
Yeah.
So they literally had to, and then there was another trench that went out into the woods. So they literally had to take him out and walk him around the ponds and around the driveway to get him into the section of the yard to graze.
Yeah.
Around both ponds, out by the driveway and around the house. Yeah. He was a shithead. So even just painted lines, like you could paint lines and they won't cross over it.
Okay.
So the concept is that the indigenous people would make stone paths where they could just push the herd animals along the lines and they would refuse to cross over and run away. And then they would lead these to hunting blinds, which is where people would lay in wait to ambush the herd. And so they believe that structure under the lake, it looks similar to one of those outpost spots along the drive line in Canada.
So they would push like herds of mastodon to that?
Yeah.
Those rocks, and
Maybe.
that's where the hunters would be?
Maybe.
Huh.
And with a structure that's 40 feet, I feel like you'd need to have a lot of people to take down a mastodon. So they think it might be evidence of the first time
weapons,
Yeah, and they think it might be evidence of
but I
a
feel
time
like
where people were actually starting to correlate and like come together as teamwork. Yeah.
Yeah, because like a mastodon, I'm assuming would feed a tribe of people for like all winter.
Yes.
Like that's a lot of fucking meat.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So
I buy it.
Yeah. The crazy part is that there are rocks in a straight line similar to the Lake Michigan rocks found under Lake Huron. So they think it might be that big of a drive line because they line up.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like it went all the way across the state?
Yeah. How fucking cool is that?
That'd be crazy. Connects to like Stonewall here in our great county.
Maybe. Or it could just be a runway for UFOs. Depends on what you
Doubtful.
believe.
Does it connect to Massachusetts where Chewbacca woke up?
Oh my God, how crazy would that be?
I believe that's a bit south.
Still, it could turn at any point.
Yeah.
Start digging, guys. Let's get some shovels. We can totally dig right through the Appalachian Mountains. It'll be fine.
Maybe not.
And that's the story.
Oh, that's it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
There were people, I meant to include it and I forgot because life. There were people that actually saw lights underneath the water too, which I think is like
That's
also,
a very common thing.
Yeah.
We did was that a bonus? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bonus. The
one?
Catalina Islands.
Catalina, yeah, where it's a lot of the same stuff being seen.
Yes, it is. Yeah, where there's cylindrical shape, there's
the
flashing
government's
lights, there's
like-
lights under the water.
Our own government's like, we don't know what the fuck's out there or what's here,
Yeah.
like on a regular basis.
Or they're lying to us. It's a false flag operation so that they can keep testing military stuff underneath our eyes.
Well, I think they do test a lot of military shit too, but it's...
Yeah. Also, that's a joke. I really don't think that. UFOs are totally more realistic.
I think it's more realistic that it's probably a little bit of both, potentially.
Yeah, and they're just like taking advantage of the fact that like aliens come here.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, UFO. It's not
like,
our drones.
Yeah, it's not a training exercise. This time it's UFOs.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Okay.
Who cares?
Do you have sources for this one?
No.
No?
Yes. YouTube, Weird History, The Mystery of the Lake Michigan Triangle, and the YouTube Quest TV Underwater Stonehenge in Lake Michigan shocks investigator Rob Nelson.
Shocks him.
And then,
Get rocked, Rob.
And then historydaily.org, the Great Lakes version of the Bermuda Triangle, and then atlasobscura.com, Lake Michigan Triangle, and then milwaukeemag.com, the legend of the Lake Michigan Triangle, travel.com, 10 things you didn't know about the Lake Michigan Triangle, and the Vintage News, the Lake Michigan Triangle. And you thought the Bermuda Triangle was bad. Oh, and shipwrecks.org.
I've heard of that.
Ton
one.
of sources.
The MichiganShipwrecks.org is who Josh Gates
Yes.
talked to in his actual episode.
Yes. That's the source that I used that had the
That's a pretty interesting
links
group.
out. Really?
Yeah.
It's about as interesting as the Explorers Club that we can't get into.
Yeah.
Do you think if we find a piece of the secret, they'll let us into the Explorers Club?
No, but
Damn
we'll
it.
be part of the secret family. Anyway. Maybe
That's it.
Anyway.
I'm done.
You've got me back on that mind track now, and I just want to formulate a plan to find it. So, put that in your to-do list.
Okay.
All right. You good?
Yep. And if you've made it this far,
Congrats.
and God bless.
We wandered.
It was very wandering.
We wandered early, and then
And
we
often.
focused up. I caught a good buzz, so I was just listening intently. And then we finish strong.
I'm glad that when you get drunk, you just listen to me.
Well, you're very...
Every girl's dream.
You're very pretty and you have lots of big words. I knew you would hate every part of that, so I couldn't resist. You're like, don't compliment me multiple times in one sentence. You're the worst. Yeah, crawl back in your shell.
Just pat my double chin. All right, I'm done making stupid noises. I'm ready for bed. Please, can we go?
No. Continue to pet your double. All right, thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye. Oof, that was terrible. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.